welcome to this episode of Ask Amy. Today we are talking about electricity because it's everyone's favorite subject when it starts to heat up around here.
Right.
My guest today is Mike Harrington with American Enerpower. You're an electricity broker for commercial companies.
Correct.
When people call me and start asking about electricity and why our prices are so high and what can I do, I call Mike and you tell me what we need to know.
Right.
Why?
Right.
And so I really wanted to have you on as our guest because there are a lot of electricity brokers in town and around Texas who can help find low prices for you. But I like that you don't have a dog in this fight. You sign up companies.
Correct.
And you can kind of tell us a little bit about what you're seeing there, but you're also paying attention to the residential electric prices.
I have a resident too.
Right, exactly. So it is crazy right now.
It is.
And I feel like we say this every summer, but what are you seeing on the retail electric market?
It has gotten worse now than before, and it's continuing since the storm of February 2021, when the grid went down. They've known the grid has been bad, and it's been creeping up. But the last 12 months has gone a lot. My contract personally is 11 cents a year ago. It's up next month. New rates are 16. That's a big. Everyone's seeing the same thing I'm seeing.
Yeah.
And everyone's going, what is going on? And so, right, and we're trying to help. I don't do residential, but I do have family, friends, and neighbors and people. What should I do? And that's what I tell them. So
yeah.
Basically, I go to the powertochoose.com.
Before we get there, he's going to tell us all that because that sort of has stayed true, like what advice you give them. What I do find the whole commercial side interesting. We won't spend a ton of time on it because I don't know how many other people will find it interesting. But when you shop around for companies and businesses, their electric rates can be much lower because they're using a lot more electricity.
Right.
And you were just describing, you don't even have to say the name of the customer. One business, their electric prices, how much they're going up.
Right. Well, I do a church. A church did a 4-year contract. Their rate was 4.5 cents. They're now looking at 9-10 cents. Their bill is going to go up $40,000 a year.
Wow. In
1 year, and that's from 4 years. So a lot of people are coming off 3, 4, 5-year contracts and seeing the new price, and they're high. They're actually where they were 20 years ago when I started.
Really?
So the prices 20 years ago were around that 10 cent, and now they've come back. They went down, and now they're back.
And so we went through this sort of time period where it was amazing, where we could get 4 or 5 cents a kilowatt, and we thought that might stick around for a little while. Right. Do you think we'll ever get back there?
No, I look at it like interest rates too, right? So interest rates were high, then they went 3%, lower than 3%, and now they're back to 7.5%. Do we think we'll get back to 2% interest rates for mortgages? So do we think we'll get to 3-4 cents for electricity? I don't think so. We might get a little break in a few years, but it could also go even higher over the next couple of years until something's done.
Okay. All right. So that's a little bit of the history, and we're going to talk more about that later. But then you wanted to give sort of when family, friends, anybody calls you and says, what should I do? Like the rates that I see on the Power to Choose, I checked recently, we're close to 14, 15 cents I'm seeing right now.
15, 16.
15, 16. So, and say my contract is coming up, and I'm like, I mean, I don't want to sign up for that, but you got to do something.
Yeah, it's right. You have no choice. You have to do. So I tell people, go to powertochoose.com. I just look at no gimmick deals. I just like strictly energy. You have to go to the fax label of that power company and see what the energy rate is. And it'll say 10.5, 10.7, 9.9. That's what I'm looking for.
And when you're looking at that, I mean, I think for the longest time people would get confused because they might give an energy rate that doesn't include the TDU charge. Do most of them now on the Power to Choose?
They all do in the total.
Okay.
But that's when they put the total up there, it'll say 14.7, 15.5. That includes the center point charges.
So that's your sort of all in.
Correct.
So we're looking at that energy fax label, and we're looking for that energy rate. You said we want to look for, a lot of times it'll say the energy rate and then it'll say plus $5 or plus $10. What's that?
It's profit. There's some that say zero, some will say $5, some will say $10 to make more money. So that's pretty much all it is.
Yeah, like basically no matter how much electricity you use, you're automatically going to be paying that company $5 or $10 just
exactly. It's just right.
to give them the money, right?
Consider it like a tip.
Okay, right.
You're gonna pay 'em
And we're all familiar with that these
Right,
days.
right.
And so then you're looking at that energy rate and then an early termination fee,
Right.
which right now, I mean, I think it's always pretty important, but I had a coworker say like, oh my gosh, I was looking at the Power to Choose website and I noticed that there are no 3-month plans and I don't want to sign up for like a 1 year because it's super high right now.
Right.
So.
You can't, I know we talk, 3-month plans are only good during the winter.
Okay.
October, November, December, January, February, because you're avoiding the summer. But eventually the summer's coming, you have to buy the summer. And so now you're not going to do a 3-month summer plan, June, July, August, because that rate's going to be 19, 20, 25 cents.
Yeah.
So then you say, well, I'll do a 1-year deal. Well, right, because that's, now you're buying the winter months farther out. So the 3, 4, 6-month deals are good in the winter because you're avoiding the summer, but eventually you have to buy the summer.
And so you're saying that's why those early termination fees are important, because if you do buy longer than what you would like because you feel like they're high,
Right.
Tell us about why that early termination fee is
So
important.
yeah, for a residential, you could do a 1, 2, or 3-year deal. And a 3-year deal is a little cheaper than a 1. And if you go, oh, I'll do a 3-year deal. And you go, okay, but what happens in a year or 2 from now? Prices go back to 10 cents. And you go, oh, I wish I could have done that. Well, you can, but there's going to be a penalty associated if you want to walk away. Is it $300 penalty? Is it $20 a month penalty? What is the penalty? Just in case, if you want to do that. If you do a long-term contract and move, there's no penalty. So
Okay.
that's fine. You don't worry about that. It's just if you're staying there and shopping, trying to get a better deal,
Right.
the power company's going to go, you owe us some money.
Right. And generally you find the early termination fee is higher the longer the length of the contract?
Most of them are like per month. So if you have $20 a month and you got 12 months left, that's $240 penalty. Some might just say $300. Some might say $150. So you have to look at what the penalty is.
Right. Okay. So we look at those. The other piece of advice that you give people, and we want to talk about this on the other side of our break, are all of these different options that electricity companies give us. I think the most common one is free nights and weekends. That people hear about. I want to discuss that, and then I want to talk about brokers, because I know you don't sell plans to people, residential customers, but let's talk about that, because I think a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, this is just giving me the hives looking at all of these options and I don't know what to do.
Right.
We're going to take a quick break and we'll talk about those two things in just a minute. Welcome back to Ask Amy. Today we are talking about electricity rates. Our guest is Mike Carrington with American Enerpower. You're an electricity broker.
Right.
You gave us those steps on things that everybody should do. It doesn't matter that rates are really pretty high right now. You give the same advice no matter when you're shopping for electricity.
Correct.
Go to the Power to Choose website. Don't Google it. We forgot to say that.
Right.
Why don't we Google it?
Well, if you Google it, you're going to get you're not going to get powertochoose.com. You'll probably get choosepower.com. You might get cheappower.com. You'll get all sorts of things that'll take you to their website and to sign up for their power plans. And their power plans probably aren't as good as the powertochoose.com.
So powertochoose.com, type that in your browser, you put in your zip code, and it'll show you plans available to you. We explained how you're looking for that electricity fax label, but we want to get to the point where you said, forget the gimmicks, forget the deals. A big one is free nights and weekends. Give me an example of another one.
Free nights and weekends, you have rebates. If you hit 1,000 kilowatts, you get $100. But what if you only hit 999 kilowatts? You might be paying 15, 20 cents.
Oh, wow.
And all of a sudden, how many months did you go over 1,000 kilowatts? My brother just did 10 months out of 12. And he went, oh, I didn't know that. And I go, right. So, and then if you go 1,500, you don't get another $100 until you hit 2,000 kilowatts. So what happens if you hit 1,999? You're going to pay more too. So the gimmicks don't work. There's other one, he called me and said, here's one here from a company, the EV plan. I go, well, do you have an electric vehicle? And he said, no. I said, well, then you're not eligible for that plan.
Okay.
Or it could be thermostat control that they can turn, which means when it's hot in the summer, they're going to turn your power off, or your air conditioner off.
We did that story, Mike, with a gentleman who called us, and he didn't realize when he got the free thermostat in the mail from his retail electric provider, he didn't read the fine print before he put it on, that when they get to these high usage days, or everybody using their electricity, they were bumping his thermostat up to like 82 while he was home.
Right. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But so you save $5 a month for that plan, but people don't like surprises, and gimmick plans are surprise. You go, oh, I didn't know, surprise, and they're usually not good surprises.
Yeah.
And so I don't like those plans. I just like keep it simple, find me a rate, lock it in.
I mean, to also think that we're sort of changing our lifestyles, say for free nights and weekends, that, I'm going to do all my laundry like overnight while it's free. You said basically like those free minutes to customers really don't cost the electric company anything.
No, the price of electricity changes every 15 minutes, 24 hours a day. So between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m., it might be 1 or 2 cents.
For the big company.
For anybody buying power off the grid. And so as you start turning lights on and people get up in the morning, that price starts going up to 3, 4, 5, 6 cents, up to $5, which is the maximum price they can charge. So during at midnight, your power, your lights are off, you're not doing anything, you're not using a lot of electricity, so they can offer that. It works for them. It might help you a little bit, but what do you pay for the daytime? What is that daytime rate?
And so for that same reason, you said when you're looking at the power to choose, you'll see this, like it seems like almost every plan has the big number at the top, which is usually if you're using like 1,000 kilowatts. And then there might be another rate down here if you use less than 500 or anywhere between 500 and 999. And then there's this other rate that if you use between 1,999 to 2,000 kilowatts. That's all very confusing. Are there plans that just have one set rate no matter how much you use?
Well, that's what that's the confusing part.
Yeah.
So so they have 500, 1,000, 2,000 kilowatts. Your rate is X, Y, Z. 90% of that time, if you have a simple energy rate, let's say the energy rate is 10 cents plus $5.
Right.
All you're doing, the 500 you're paying 10 cents, 1,000 you're paying cents, but that $5 is being divided by 500, 1,000, 2,000.
Got it.
So the more you use, that $5 is worth a penny here. It's only worth a half a penny here. You're just dividing the $5.
Okay.
Or the $10.
Right.
So but the energy is the same. But it's 10 cents plus $5.
Okay.
So if you do the math, it's just the $5 being divided.
So really what I want to do, because they're dividing it up like that either way, is I want to look through all my bills like for the last 12 months and see about how much I normally use anyway?
If you want to do the gimmick plans.
I don't want to do the gimmick plans.
Then you don't have to do that.
Then you don't care.
Then don't worry about it.
Okay.
Just look for that energy rate in the facts label. And it's either energy plus 0, energy plus 5, or energy plus 10. And you'll be in that range. So it could be 10.5 plus $5, or it could be 10.4 plus $10.
Okay.
You owe 10.4, but you're paying $10. So in general, it's not a big difference.
Okay.
So don't just stay with the energy rate.
Got it, because I can even sort on the Power to Choose website. You can sort by fixed rate versus variable rate.
Correct.
But it seems like you still get those less than 5, even if you say fixed.
The powertochoose.com needs to clean up their website a little bit better. It's getting more and more tricky. They did it before and changed out all plans versus variable plans. They need to do that again and clean it up a little bit. It is becoming more tricky. So
people should also know, and I always tell people that I think the Power to Choose website is a great place to start, but that's not the only place to look. Like, I usually go there, you're looking at me like, what are you saying? I usually go there to start, and then I found a lower rate by then calling the electric company before I sign up for that plan and to say like, hey, I was about to pick this. It says it's this rate. And the person on the phone says, oh, well, the website's only updated like every 24 hours. We have this other lower rate.
I don't know. I can't speak to that.
Okay.
So I don't know. If a power company has a good rate, they want it on the Power to Choose to let everybody know they're the best rate.
Got it.
Why you would not tell everybody this is the best rate.
Right.
I'm going to put it on Power Choose. And they always want to be on page 1. Because no one's going to go to page 2, page 3.
Right, because if it starts at 15 cents and it keeps getting higher, why are you going to the next page?
There was one today, a friend of mine called me, he said, here's a company, and it's cheap. And I said, what? And I looked it up, and it's Rhythm, it's a September plan. Well, it starts in September. So,
too bad
but
that
they
your
got
contract...
on page 1.
Okay.
Because their rate is cheap, because they're not buying the summer months.
Got it.
So they start in September. And so, okay, that's why it's cheap, but you can't sign up for that one until September.
I can't even go on and say switch me in September on that plan right now? Well, then why put it there?
I think legally you can only do 60 days before.
Okay.
I don't think you can do it 90 days or 100 days before.
Okay.
So 60 days before. I'm not sure why that one's on there, but it can't start until September.
Right.
And they call it the September plan. So.
Okay, that's the reason it's important that you read the fine print.
Right.
Let's talk about brokers for a minute, because while we're giving all of this information, I'm sure there are plenty of people at home who are going like, oh my gosh, I'm thoroughly confused, even though we've laid out these steps. Even doing that seems like a lot to some people. And they just might opt to, you know what, I'm just going to sign up with a broker that, you may pay them $10 a month or some portion of whatever they're charging to have somebody do it all for you. I feel like there are things that people, and that might be your best option.
That could be. I don't necessarily have a problem. If it's $10 a month or whatever you want, and they can look at your evaluation. Like I said, I don't do res, so I can't tell you what they're doing. But you would have to evaluate that. And the only way you can evaluate that is compare it to something else.
Right.
And so you choose that. I don't know how that works. I don't have a big house. Some people might have, a huge house. And
right.
Some people have an apartment bill. If you have an apartment bill and your bill's less than $100, paying an extra $10 for something might be not worth it. So it's up to the individual.
Right.
Like I said, it's up to them. So brokers for residential, I think commercial business, I think 90% of businesses have a broker. Because it is better for business to have a broker shop that for them.
And so if I'm just a homeowner or, a residential customer going with a broker, can we kind of explain why and how brokers are able to get better deals? Aside from the fact of doing your homework and they just know the industry, sometimes they're able to they're grouping customers, something that I can't do by myself.
Right. From the commercial side, we can take people, we're bringing thousands of customers to the power companies. We're not one store, one time. So they want to give us business because we're always bringing them business. And so we're going to get a better deal than they can get individually, we think. So when you're calling, you're going to get one deal. And then we also compare that one power with 8 or 9 other power companies. So they know we're shopping it for everybody else. So everyone's going to give us the best rate that day for that client.
Got it.
And so we're going to work with that and tell that client. They have to sign that contract that day to get that, because the prices change every day.
Right.
Residential, there might be companies say, yeah, they could get a better deal because they have 10,000 homes versus one home.
Right.
So they're going to get a better deal for you because they have bigger
shopping it as a group.
Right.
Got it. That's not difficult to understand. I do want to, you said people always ask you to look into your crystal ball and tell them, well, our price is going to go down next year. So when we come back, I'm going to ask you to do that. Not really. You're going to tell us, looking at on the horizon of what's to come, what we think is going to happen with the electric industry. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Ask Amy. Today our guest is Mike Harrington, an electricity broker with American Enerpower. So you said friends, family, relatives always calling you saying well, I'm looking at all these plans. Should I sign up for 1 year or 3 years? I mean, are prices going to go down in a few months? What is your answer?
Yeah, my crystal ball is not as clear as others, but it's okay. So yeah, no one knows where the price is going to be. We do know that in February 21, when the big storm came through, that the grid was not in great shape. It was not reliable. And you can blame ERCOT, the Public Utility Commission, the governor, you can blame anybody you want, but the problem is still there. The good news is that in November, we amended the state constitution to spend $10 billion to to build natural gas power plants.
Okay.
Those plans were just submitted. The deadline was in. Those plans are in. There's a lot of plans, which is great. And so now the Public Utility Commission and ERCOT will figure out who's got the best plan, and you're going to see new power plants being built, hopefully quick. I don't think if you started today, it'd be on next year. It might be, some might be. So basically, until those plans are all implemented, until those plants are built, I think prices are going to be high for at least 2, maybe 3 years. So I wouldn't do a 1 year, I would do a 2-year contract, maybe even a 3-year contract. There's no reason out there for the demand to go down. People are still moving to Texas, people are still building things, and no one's got new power plants yet. So until you get the new power plants on, prices are not going down. And hopefully we pick a lot of good projects all over the state to build power plants, whether it be Sugar Land or Texas A&M, everybody's hearing about them. Build them and get them on as quick as possible. I hear there's incentives to get on in 2025 and incentives for 2026.
Oh, to do it quicker?
Yeah, so there's the details, I don't know all the details, but at least the state has got a plan, sounds like a good plan, and they're executing that plan now, but that will take a couple years.
Yeah, and you know, whenever I first called you and said, hey, will you come on and talk with me about electricity prices, you know, and I've heard other people say this too, that last summer prices were pretty high, but then the summer before that was when they were really crazy, right?
Right, correct.
And that now they're somewhere sort of in the middle, but we saw there was sort of the war in Ukraine, and like every year we give these reasons as to why they're not as low as what we're used to in the summer.
Well, I guess
not in the summer.
We always want low.
Yes,
whether it be interest rates or costs of goods or electricity, we always want low. And gasoline.
Yeah.
You're not going to get $1 a gallon of gasoline. You're not going to get 3 cents for electricity.
Right.
The price is going to be up there. So you're not going to have, at least natural gas makes electricity. We have a lot of natural gas in this country, which is great. Last year it was $10, or 2 years ago, and that's why price of electricity is up. Natural gas today is $3, even less earlier. So the natural gas is down, makes electricity, so electricity prices should be lower.
Should be.
Should be.
So why aren't they?
Because the people who have the power plants, there's not a lot of power plants. And they haven't built any power plants because the price is so cheap. That's why the state's saying we're going to build power plants, we're going to help build power plants. So supply demand, I don't have a lot of power plants. Just because I can make it cheap doesn't mean I have to sell it cheap. And so the power plants are making a fortune. TXU stock, NRG stock, Constellation, they're all up because they're making money. They're in a perfect storm to make money.
As customers, we hate that. I mean, it's like add them to the list of, you know, attorneys and insurance companies, but it's capitalism. It's the way it works.
That's how, exactly. That's the supply demand. They were smart. They knew what they're doing and they were patient, and they're now reaping those rewards. But now the state has stepped in and saying, hey, if you're not going to build power plants because you're making all this money, we're going to come in and build power plants.
Right.
And that's why the state passed the Constitution. The people voted $10 billion. We're going to start paying out money to build power plants. We're going to partner with you. We're going to partner with you. We're going to build power plants.
Yeah, well, we appreciate your time today. We definitely want to cover a lot of those things. We've had some of them in the news about Texas A&M getting this peaker plant or wanting to do this peaker plant. You can look for our newscasts and our stories on all of those things to keep people educated on all of those upcoming things to our electric grid. Thank you so much for coming on and talking with us. We're going to put notes for those steps to take to find the lowest electricity rates right now, but do your best and good luck. All right, have a great day. Thanks so much for tuning in.